Good morning, everyone. It is Friday, May 29th, our last trading day in May. And the Bible says, Book of Proverbs, chapter 29 and verse 9, if a wise man contendeth with a foolish man, whether he rage or laugh, there is no rest. So basically, if you're arguing with a fool, you're wasting your time. You won't convince him with any amount of logic or reason. And usually they end up laughing at you or getting angry with you. And so you just end up frustrating yourself. So once you recognize you're talking to a fool, your best course of action is to walk away. All right, today on the chart, not much overnight activity. So I'm not sure. Maybe we won't get a whole lot of good price action today. We'll just have to wait and see about 5 minutes till the open. Clearly overnight highs and lows are present or evident, and you're just in the middle of a bunch of chop right now. Same thing if we go over to the NQ, it's kind of the same kind of deal. Um, so just have to wait for that to work itself out. All right, so we got out of this congestion here, we got basically a second leg up, and I'm not even sure. I got these measured, but not really sure if you would relate these or not because this is so congested, and then this is much sharper. But so it doesn't really look like two legs that you would normally think. Um, Drew this uptrend. Don't really get anything good here. The bar printing is not real favorable right now. And so it looks like you kind of make two legs, push two new highs. So now we just have to wait and see what happens with, this whole mess. Looking for a new structure here that we can trade. NQ, this kind is kind of continuing to be in an uptrend here. I had this drawn, but it's very messy. So it's not like you can really do anything with it anyway. But I'll keep watching this as a trend. And if you get a couple clean legs out of that, then it might be something we can work with. All right, so we have flipped around here on the chart. See after this push up, break, new high. Um, Definitely looks like this is a channel now moving down. So you look for two clean legs of correction there. I think you're still good. I don't think that's so small. I wouldn't count that as an overshoot. So I'm gonna watch and see if we get two clean legs here. And then on NQ, I'm not gonna flip over there right now because I'm watching this, but I'm watching NQ on the other screen. It looks like you've got a wider channel, kind of working down on NQ as well. I'll come back to that um, later in the video and show you that. Okay, so it looks like here's NQ. Um, it kind of looks like you got basically one big leg down, then you got a second big leg down, and then I think price is attempting to reverse here, and when they fail, that's when I connected all this, put that down there. Looks like we bounced again, so it looked like it might be a trend. Looks like it was trying to react off there. Um, so, but then you got this push up, and there's just nothing actionable in here for a trade. And then back over here, um, it looked like maybe this was getting a break, and maybe it is. Maybe you're getting a break. Maybe it's going to push to a new low. But again, you just go right up into congestion, and so there's nothing actionable. And I don't know if maybe if because of all this here, you can see all like the support over here. Maybe buyers are just stepping in here. So it seems like it's a confusing area for the market, and so I think maybe that's why you're getting this static here at the overnight high level. So we'll have to just see what happens with this. Maybe this is making a second leg up. I don't know necessarily. I don't know if I feel good about like trying to short here. Like this is gone pretty far. It's like because you've got the overnight high in play here, maybe prices are trying to hold that and go higher. So I wouldn't necessarily look at this as like two legs up that I'd want to short unless maybe I got a nice lower high off this area with room to the EMA. So just keep watching and see what happens. All right, so we can see here this may be treating this as like two legs. So, but given the area we're coming off of and the size of that bar, looks like it's about a 6 tick bar in light of that strong push up. I wouldn't not really excited about going short there. So different context with maybe a little bit better bar. Um, it's not. I mean, as far as a signal bar goes, it's a good bar, but uh, taking it into account with this measured move is still in play. We're coming off of this overnight high level, and I'm not sure if buyers are trying to push that up. So it doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of um, resistance, I would say, like off this. This does not give me like confidence that there's a whole lot of selling coming in here. It's a very small bar compared to these bars up. So that's why I'm not real excited about that type of bar with the strength of that move up. But anyway, you can see that's how the market treated it as two legs there. So, some of this is you'll have where the pattern sets up, but maybe you don't like the context. And then you also have to gauge like what's my setup bar considering how big this move is. So, there is some nuance to it. I could see why people would take that, and that's, it kind of fits the idea. So that's the whole part of the personal preference, I guess I should say, to the strategy is here's the downtrend, break, first attempt. And then you have to decide, am I willing to take that thinking that's the second attempt? That's where the whole kind of personal preference comes into executing the strategy, where I was not confident with a little bar like that. Now, maybe if if this had sold, if this bar had gone like way all the way up here to the measured move, and then you had a massive wick on that, giving me more confidence that I do have a bar that's relative in size to these ones that are pushing up, not this tiny little bar, and I get a bunch of selling coming in. Well, if this bar had been maybe another point and a half bigger at least, and you had a big wick on that, um, then I might be inclined to enter there, I think. But given the size of that bar relative to the other bars in the whole structure, I didn't really care for that. But again, that's what I say. That's where the personal preference, that's where the decision making kind of comes into the strategy. You can have the structure identified, two legs of correction identified, and then there's some like it's not always measured move, excellent bar sort of thing. So um, anyway, so now we're basically then you can look at this downtrend break, new low, and now we got to be careful, especially coming into this area here now where their support was definitely before. But you never put making a measured move down out of the equation. But so definitely um, just have to be careful taking shorts though with that downtrend played out. Um, yeah, NQ I don't think was as kind of did the same thing, but it's a little bit more nuanced because you basically have one leg, two legs, three legs up here. So anyway, passed on that one, and that's okay. There's no harm in passing on something that you are not sure about. Um, so that's part of the trading is that you want to be 100% sure um, that what you're confident that you're entering um, something that you feel meets your criteria. So, and that's what I'm working on, the psychology video, and I'm not sure if I'll be able to do it this weekend or not, but I've gone through Mark Douglas's book again, um, and I've taken out maybe 3 pages of quotes that I'm going to go over that kind of relate to, I guess, what I, why I think people struggle, why I struggled, I think, and um, how to, I guess, rectify that. So that'll be coming. I don't know exactly when. But anyhow, this is probably the best looking thing here, although I wasn't willing to risk it. And that's part of what we'll go over in that psychology video is the risk aspect. You have to be willing to accept the risk. And there's some things that we'll go over um, that you'll see that Mark Douglas talks about that is kind of contradictory to the typical Pat strategy, and why it gets into why I think a lot of the Pat's traders that follow the Pat's teachings struggle for so long, and why there's people that have are trading longer than me that still don't really get it and work through um, can't get that strategy per se directly watching and trying to learn from Pat's, why they can't get that nailed down, um, and why they continue to struggle with it. And it's because that there's the main thing is that there's really not consistency with how things are taught in the way that the uh, system is applied. It's not applied consistently, and that's why people can continue to struggle with it, I think. So anyway, it looks like we're heading for the measured move down here, and we'll see what happens when we get into this area. If we get some sort of indication where prices may try to go back up, we might actually be in some sort of range day today. I mean, you got basically I took the lines off here, but you got one leg up, two legs up, one leg down. You may be getting that second leg all the way down here. So we'll just have to wait and see. All right, so we end up making this measured move down. As soon as we hit that measured move, it doesn't always happen this way, but right to the tick, the prices start to go the other way. So that's why you want to be careful when the second leg, kind of looks like a nice downtrend. You have to be very careful about taking breaks off that because, that's just prices probably going the other way now. Because after two legs in one direction, especially big major legs like that, prices will want to try to go the other way, and so they do. And some news must have come out here. There was a big volume spike here for a couple minutes, so I have that. The whole thing is like one leg, and this is another leg. It's not as clear as what that's going to be, but we'll see. Want to be mindful anyway if prices make their way back up into this area here. So just be careful if you get a nice trend working up, and then then you get a correction coming off here. But it looks like it's going to try to do something there, and I'm not sure how I like that because this is already like the first move up. Can't really put lines on that very well because of I think because of probably the volatility from whatever that news item was. But I would look at that as a leg up, and this is a second leg up. So we'll see. I mean, obviously, you could draw something really neat right there, but I don't know how much I like that. Uh, I think the correction would have to be really uniform with a really nice setup for me to want to go long um, as a break of this. So we'll see what develops, and then NQ a little bit messier. Um, also kind of same kind of deal. Weird move up, a little congestion, and then rips higher. So that's where we're at now. Not nearly as close to the highs as the ES is, but anyway, be back in a little while. Okay, everybody. Let's see. We're clearly in some kind of range here now. Had this spike up and then drop down. Got a couple of chops here. Um, there's two legs here up to this, but I don't like taking it because this is not. I know this we're kind of counting that as a second leg, but it's not. It hasn't. In the same time, it hasn't retested, and this is kind of looks the way this is. These bars are printing with this all this buying coming in here, this push down buying coming in here. Um, I just don't feel comfortable taking that above the EMA with this, maybe heading for a new high. It doesn't get there. This would have won a couple points, but that's not what I'm, it's not, I don't look at trades based on whether it won or not. I just don't like the context there. Chops around, pushes down. Excuse me. After we get this, and then we get this and it starts to fall off, that's when I draw this range here. You get two legs down, but to me, this has gone like, it's not all the way, you're not all the way back down here yet. Um, it's a decent bar, but you're kind of chopping around there. This could easily like tick higher and just keep, pushing down to the lows. So we're kind of going sideways there. NQ, let's take a look at NQ. It's kind of doing the same thing. If we put this, this thing keeps reverting back to these default settings. I got a ticket into Tradeovate about it, but we'll see. Um, so you kind of have, I think I have it like this on the other screen. You're going sideways. Um, you kind of have competing context here. You have this clear, we have this clear uptrend. Let's just grab this. Right, we got this clear uptrend here. Right, but like we say, it's into this level where price is sold before, and so it starts to sell again. You get this lower high. This is probably aggressive. I don't think I saw this. If we look at it like this, it looks basically like a double top there. Very heavy bar. Um, it's kind of inside this a little bit. Only thing that really concerns me about taking that is this strong move up. Will it make a new high there? Will this hold as resistance? It does end up pushing down to the EMA and then pushes down again. You basically get one leg down, two legs down here, but now you're below the EMA again, and you haven't made it back down to the support. You're kind of just buying this off of, just calling it two legs. It does end up pushing up there, but there's just there's just some things not to like about these trades. So, um, obviously in hindsight we look back and we say, oh, lower high there, could have taken that, two legs. But we don't want to trade in hindsight. That's why a lot of people, I think, struggle. Um, you really want to wait for what you perceive as a clear edge to show up. Had this lower high showed up after, you get a pattern like that after something like this retest with a lot of room to the EMA, then I like it because that fits our methodology for a trend play out, and then you have lots of room to the EMA, but this trend is not played out. And so really, I mean, all you're really banking on is this is going to hold as an area of resistance. So it might not. Um, but anyway, that's where we're at right now. So looks like that maybe after two legs down, this is trying to retest this again. So we'll see if this level holds. Looks like the sellers are trying to come in again. We'll see if that ends up, being a triple test and then pushes down here. So anyway, we'll be back again later. All right, let's do an update here. I think after we got these two legs up, and we fell back down here. We got this nice trend down. I was looking for 2 legs back, didn't get it. Ends up going sideways, getting this range. I really thought about going long here above this, fading basically back up into this range and also this range. I had about 2.5 points to EMA. I just decided not to pull the trigger on that. And now we are rolling over down into a downtrend. Couldn't push up through the EMA here. Now it's really rolled over. So, um, you don't have like a real clean downtrend here. Maybe you would say it starts off here. I think that with the way this is playing out, I think you're probably okay looking for a couple of legs back. This looks pretty bearish. It doesn't really look there's any other structure that's kind of like played out here. It kind of just looks like it's kind of rejected, pushing back up into this range and is now pushing down. So I would watch for a couple of clean legs here. Maybe we can find a structure working down. NQ, haven't really been watching that too much. It's kind of doing the same thing. You kind of got this little channel here working down, and then that rolled over into something steeper. We just kind of look at this here. You had this, and then we kind of fell out of that. Um, I guess you might argue there's an overshoot here, but this doesn't really look like, a well-established trend. It's kind of like still part of this range, although it does fit. So I can't really say as well what's going on here with NQ. The structure is a little bit less clear, but we definitely wouldn't be buying any kind of higher low or anything because this is really rolled over here. You're not really doing it off anything. This could just turn out to be a steeper downtrend that's developing. You can see we can't make it through the EMA and then it just really falls off. So I'll look at see about 2 legs off that as well, but you can already see the selling starting to come in more here. But yeah, so that's where we're at right now. All right, so this ends up not turning into anything, and you get these 2 legs up. Unfortunately, I left while this was pushing up here. This lower high looks pretty good. I wouldn't take anything here because you never know where that swing is going to be, where the true swing is going to be. Like on the way down here, is that going to be the swing? Is it going to start here? Nope, it actually starts here. So it's very difficult to tell where the bottom's going to be. It always looks easy once it happens, but to actually tell where it's going to be, you could get trapped several times here trying to pick it. So that's why you don't ever want to pick a bottom. But this lower high, yeah, I missed that. Wasn't here for that. So that looks pretty good there to take. You've got you got about 2.25 points to the EMA. I'd probably go for my 5 ticks on that, being that the risk is only like, what's that, 97, probably 2.5 points there on that. So that lower high looks good. I just wasn't here for that. This is kind of weird here. It looks like a leg, but it doesn't go down very far. So I can't really do anything with that. NQ, I don't think you also get like 2 legs up here. But again, there's basically 2 legs up, but you could have entered there and then it could have ticked lower and done that. So you just never know where the entry point's going to be. That's why most of the time, best to wait on the lower high unless you're very sure. Like when you're in a clear downtrend and you get 2 legs of correction, that's if you want to enter, you pretty much need to enter there. If you wait on lower highs, when you get 2 legs of correction in a trend, usually oftentimes you won't get it. It may just take off from there, or it'll push too far, or whatever. But when you get these big moves that are kind of not like against the grain, um, you should wait on the lower highs and stuff and higher lows. But it looks like, maybe overall this trend now is pushing for a new low. And that's what's tricky about the bigger picture price action is you just kind of never know. It's very difficult to figure out where you would enter because you're trying to enter with kind of small stops on smaller structures, and when you get into the bigger structures, that makes it kind of difficult sometimes. So anyway, missed a trade there. Maybe something will show up in the last hour or so for the week. But yeah, so if I don't see anything to trade, I'll probably just be back for to close it up. Okay, everybody, that is gonna be it for today. We got these two legs up here, um, into the into this kind of resistance area, and you never know where. I was looking for this to race up here and get a lower high. I don't really ever get it. Um, and of course, just never know where the top's gonna be on these. Um, so you can't really just say, oh, I can just go short right there because you just never know. So this just chops around and everything. So that's it. Just missed that one, wasn't here, and then this one here, just that was a little bit more. Be a little bit more of a quick thinker there, unless you just want to go long right here, and that's up to you. But I like to, given the risk there, I'd like to have more room to the highs. I was hoping to get in like a point earlier than that, and you can if you throw a limit order back in there. This won't always come back to get you, but it does in this case. So anyway, that's it. I'll show you my P&L for this month. All right, so there you go. With had 7 trades, I think, this month. So unfortunately, had those 2 losers. It kind of sent me back for the month. But probably a couple other ones I could have had. A couple areas where, I didn't just chose not to enter. A couple that I missed, probably wasn't at the desk or something like that. So those things are going to happen. But a little bit more meager this month, but still positive, which is good, and probably better than most. So. Let me show you you can see well, not all the trades, most of the trades are down here. I'll show you the other ones, and then you can, if you want to, you can go back to the charts on those days and, compare where I said I took the trades. All right, so that's actually all the trades for the month there. Um, so probably have broker statement Monday, and I guess that's when I'll see you. Again, like I said, I'm working on that psychology stuff. I need to type out some notes and whatnot, so it kind of flows well and I don't sound like a full babbling all the time. But yeah, that's it. And I'll see you again next week. Have a good weekend.